I do want to thank you all for joining us today. I am Caitlin Giles McCormick here with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. And today's session is an informational overview on the NJEDA's currently open Film and Digital Media Studio Infrastructure Program. The goal of this program and the eligible applicants are pretty specific. So if you aren't directly eligible, please keep in mind that some of your partners might be eligible. So be thinking about them, and also check out our many other NJEDA programs. We'll be dropping that information in the chat along with a lot of other resources throughout today's program. Now, to officially get us started with the presentation, I'm going to shift things over to NJEDA's Director of Real Estate Programs, Liza Nolan. Liza, take it away.
Great, thank you, Caitlin. And I'll be presenting today on behalf of the Real Estate Programs team, George Santos and Dan Jennings and Giancarlo Di Leonardo. So welcome, everyone. We are pleased that there's a wide range of attendees. A mix of government entities and private businesses. And as Caitlin said, we do have certain eligibility requirements for applicants, but parties can work with their government entities who will be the actual applicant for this. We'll provide an overview here and then go, as Caitlin said, to allow questions through the chat or Q&A is the preference. And then also we will be posting questions from this on the website as part of our already posted FAQ, frequently asked questions. So let me go forward and start the overview. Okay. And I am not. Hold on for a sec as my page is stuck. Why is, hold on. I'm going to just pull it back for a second, just a sec. Okay. Okay. There we go. Oh no, I don't know if it's sharing. Hold on. I think it's finally sharing. Sorry about that, little technical difficulty. So anyway, the Film and Digital Media Studio Infrastructure Program is a $10 million program. It was announced last year in Governor Murphy's 2023 state budget. It's part of a bucket of programs and funding that's been made available in support of the governor's strategic economic development initiatives and investments in various key sectors and geographic locations throughout the state. Film and studios have been a key industry that has received attention and been a growing industry across the state of New Jersey. And as some of you know, there are other programs that EDA in the state has, such as tax credits for the actual production of film productions and other EDA programs to support that. This program, the $10 million that has been allocated, is a pilot program, and it does provide funding to applicants, which are either municipalities, municipal entities, counties, county entities, and or state instrumentalities that are undertaking infrastructure improvements or site work in support of the development of or an already developed film or digital media production facility. So what is considered a studio production facility or a film or digital media production facility? And this is already posted in our FAQ that is online. And basically that would be a commercial project that might include film studios, professional stages, television studios, recording studios, screening rooms, or other film production space. So that's the target of this program, to be able to provide funding to governmental entities where studio production facilities are located for undertaking the public infrastructure work that might be needed in connection with that. Where we're at, this is kind of a regroup. The board approved this, EDA's board approved this program back in December. We launched the program application on our website in May. We recently extended the application deadline. That's why we're holding this informational webinar, to be able to make sure we get information out and share the details about this program, this grant funding. And the new application deadline is October 19th. All of the information on the program and how to apply is on our website already, since we have launched the program. And we do take questions, detailed questions, directed to an inbox, realestateinfo@njeda.com, so that we can provide consistent answers, and we post the responses to that in the FAQ. Talked a little bit already about the applicants. They're governmental entities, whether it's municipal or county, or a state entity that can apply for this funding. And the grant funding can be used for improvements that are in support of, as I already described and provided the definition of, a film or digital media studio production facility. The kinds of improvements that we were envisioning as this program was set up were things like roadwork or transportation improvements, water or sewer line services that are going to the site, gas lines or services, telecommunications, high-speed broadband, electrical utility lines, grid supply issues, and or accessibility, safety improvements that might be part of the surrounding area connecting to that production facility. We would allow site remediation or site work on government-owned property. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Again, we have had this question already, so I'm going to read a little bit what's posted on our website. But the question we had received previous was, are infrastructure improvements or site work that are to be undertaken on the site of the private studio facility eligible for this grant funding? So the eligibility for the program depends on the ultimate ownership of the infrastructure improvements or the site work. So if the infrastructure improvement or the site work is to be undertaken on the site of a private studio and is or will be owned by the private studio facility, then that would not be eligible. That is an ineligible cost. However, if the government or the utility company were to own those improvements, then that could be considered eligible. Again, we have a detailed answer in our FAQ, but we know that people have raised that question. EDA funds do require that projects are subject to prevailing wage law and compliance with other labor standards, such as affirmative action. Additionally, this is a public infrastructure grant program and would be subject to New Jersey Executive Order 215, which relates to environmental assessment. So if the project cost were to be equal to or greater than $1 million, an environmental assessment would need to be undertaken. I already talked about the budget. We have 10 million. EDA does have an administrative fee as part of that. So we expect to grant out $9.5 million. The grant funding may provide 100% of an approved project's cost. The minimum funding request and approval amount would be $50,000, and the maximum funding amount would be $4.75 million. That would be per any one applicant or per any project. We do have an application fee of $1,000, And one of the grant provisions would have a recapture provision that indicates if funds have not already been spent and the studio development that this infrastructure was supporting was to be terminated, EDA would not provide the remaining funds for that project. How does the processing and the application work? We have a competitive application process. So applications deadline, as mentioned, is October 19th. As applications come in, you go online through the website that we've posted here. It's a common application. You answer several questions. If any of you are familiar with EDA programs, it's a very fluid process and easy to navigate. And then there are particular requirements that would questions and documents to be uploaded to describe the project specific to this funding program. So we would ask for details about the project and the description and what the intent and goals of the project are. A letter would be required from the studio production facility, and we have some requirements as to what that letter needs to include, such as the location, the size of the studio production facility, because I'll mention something about that later. Then information about the project budget. If there are other sources that will be utilized besides this grant funds, we would need to know about that. And then what is the timeline and how is the government entity proposing to proceed with the actual development of the project, whether it's the applicant itself or any contractors or consultants who might be involved in undertaking the infrastructure project work. We also promote and have points related to the participation by small, women, minority, or veterans-owned businesses. And we would like a narrative describing what your plans for such participation might be. Once applications are submitted and EDA starts to review them following the deadline of October 19th. We do allow for a 10-day cure period. So if application comes in and a clarification is needed, we would reach out to the applicant and they would be given 10 days to provide that information that might be not complete. When applications come in, we'll be separating them into two application review groups. Applications in support of a studio production facility that is in excess of 250,000 square feet, and applications in support of a production facility less than that. Our intent is to fund at least one project from each of those funding pools, as long as we do receive such applications and applications within each group meet the minimum score requirement of 65. And then if funds remain after that, all applications would be put back into one group for review, and the next highest overall ranked application would be recommended for funding until all funds are depleted. If funds do remain at the end of this initial competitive process, then we would be opening it up on a rolling first come, first serve basis. The scoring criteria is also detailed in our online webpage, and we're looking at reviewing applications based on the readiness to proceed and the project merits that they have described in the documentation submitted in the application. Project benefits such as community and regional economic impact would be a consideration. The feasibility of the project as far as the timing, the budget if you do require any other funding, and then the experience of the applicant to do this. Has the governmental entity and or the team that they are proposing would undertake this development experienced and capable to undertake it in the timeline that they are proposing. And then I already described the participation points for SWIMB organizations, businesses. Little bit of a background and overview. We did launch the program in May and the deadline is October. Once the applications come in and EDA reviews and scores them, each application for approval or those that are not going to be approved would be presented to the EDA board. We anticipate the earliest that would happen is at our December board meeting. And then once those awards are made, we would start a grant agreement and closing process probably the next month or two following the board approval. EDA is involved in dispersing the funds and monitoring the construction work to ensure that payments are made in per the approved project budget, and that documentation is provided to ensure that prevailing wage and other compliance with labor standards requirements is undertaken and completed appropriately. That's the overview of the program. It's exciting to be have this grant funding available to support government entities who are or do have studio production facilities in their towns, in their counties. And if we do have questions in the chat or Q&A, we can start to review them and see what they are. Let me see if I can bring them up. I'm going to stop my share for a sec. And do we have questions? I'm trying to pull any up.
Yeah, I actually don't see any, but through the Q&A system. So, but if folks want to, oh, there we go. I got them coming in now. You see those, Liza?
Yes, yes. The project is defined as the infrastructure. And so the prevailing wage requirement would apply to that, not to the already developed or the in process of being developed studio project, studio facility. I am not, do they need to be studio like? If you could elaborate on that question, happy to answer that. And yes, the slide presentation will be available on the website following this presentation in the next few days. We'll post that as well as this presentation and communication.
And then if anybody would actually like to ask a question verbally, you can raise your hand, use the raise your hand function, and I can allow you permission to speak and you can ask your question that way as well. So looks like Margoli is asking if it's for an established studio. So perhaps if the filming, whoever's actually doing the filming.
So it's for the studio production facility. So it would be one that is already or in process of being developed. It is not one that might be planned for 5 years from now. And the facility would be something like a film studio or television studio where the actual production of films or TV shows or other things do take place. So it's that actual production facility. EDA does have a number of different programs, and
so can we, Liza, can we just announce the question real quick? So, yeah. So
Okay.
we are MBE telecommunications firm based in New Jersey. Do you have a list of interested parties that we can contact and provide our information to? Is that the one you were addressing?
Right. So
Great.
yes. So I think the best thing to do is we do not give out, or we do not send out information on a specific firm, but we can point you in the direction of various programs or contacts. We do have a list of existing studio production facilities in New Jersey, and we can see about sharing that with you. The question is, what are the requirements to apply for the grants? So what you would do is go to njeda.com, and there is a financing and incentives page. And if you go to that page, then you would look for this program or many of the other EDA programs that are available. And you just click on that. This one is the Film and Digital Media Studio Infrastructure Program. And on that web page specific to the program, you would see all the information about who is eligible. You would see a sample application, and then you would also be able to click on the link of apply. And once you start to apply, it will go through some questions. It will be asking you if you are an eligible applicant. It would be asking for the applicant information, and then questions related to what is the infrastructure project, where is it located, and then documents would be uploaded, such as we talked about some of the narratives about the experience of the applicant to undertake such a project, what the projected project timeline would be, and the budget for such a project. So the application will walk you through the various questions to be answered, and you can submit them live online. You can save the application, and then you can upload the documents. The question is, can we elaborate about the infrastructure work which might be up? And we look forward to receiving more questions, and also certainly to receiving some applications. We will post all this information from today's webinar as well as the slides on our website, and look forward to some applications coming in. And if you have questions, just reach out through that email box. Thank you.